one of those walkie-talkie, they were videotaping it. I should figure out before you start in this, what date Edwin was born.
I have 1907.
I think that's right.
And now I have you as 1910.
Right.
Is that right? Oh, okay.
My birthday's Tuesday, so.
Is that the 29th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had down there.
Yeah.
Okay, should I say something to introduce you?
Sure.
Okay. We're visiting Aunt Betty Kent, who lives in Kindy, and it is October the 27th, 1991. We're going to talk a little bit about some genealogy. And I had sent this to you, and what I had done is put my mother, and then was Uncle Eddie's first name Joseph Edwin?
Joseph
Okay,
Edwin.
there are all those Josephs, Edwins and Edwin Josephs, and now one of my sources said June 25th, and another said July.
June.
Okay, well that's what I had in the first place, and 1907, and he died in 1962. And then I had you as Elizabeth Hannah. I didn't know your middle name. I like that name. Yeah. October 29th, 1910. And then you married Maynard Kent. Did he have another name? Maynard?
Clinton. He was the fifth son, Q-U-I-N-T-E-N.
Q-I-N-T-E-N.
He was always very proud of me.
Oh.
Our Q initial. They'd say, are you Mrs. Maynard Q?
I never heard of that. And that's interesting. Did each of the children have the name that would be, Latin for?
No. It was just because he was, they named him, remember, first, after an uncle, and then his mother didn't like that, but she liked his aunt, or, the uncle's wife that he was named after, so.
Yeah, they named him Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that have been a name?
But then the uncle who he was named after said that why did they name him that? Because he always hated his name. So his mother said that she went to the Bible and just put a hole in the Bible where she scraped out the name and named him.
And was he born on February 11th? 18th. Why don't we just start over? February, was it?
The 18th. November.
Oh, November.
November the 18th.
18.
Oh, let's see. In 1904.
1904.
Yeah.
And then he died?
January the 14th, 1985.
85. I don't know what I have these numbers on here for. Okay, and then your father's family, there was Harry. I often wonder if I have these in the right order. It doesn't really matter. But Harry...
I don't know. I think Harry probably came after my dad.
Your dad, Joseph, was the oldest?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you know your Uncle Harry?
No, he died when he was about 18, I think. He was... I think he was the one that was climbing, or going hunting, and climbing through the fence with his gun, and the gun went off.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I remember Mother.
Yeah.
And then, do you think Robert was the next one?
Gee, I don't...
It doesn't... Well, I guess I should...
He had polio when he was young, and he never could talk, and he never could walk.
Oh, that's right.
And so I don't really know where he came in.
And then William J.
Yeah.
Did you know Robert?
Oh, yeah. I knew him, but, he was a person you couldn't talk to or you couldn't visit with.
But he lived in Port Hope.
Oh, he lived with his folks.
His folks,
all his life, yeah.
See, and then William J.
Yeah, that's Willie. And, he lived in Port Hope.
Oh, did he? Did he marry? Or?
Oh, yes. Aunt Ollie.
That's where Aunt Ollie comes in.
Donkey, her name was before she was married.
It's O-L-L-I-E.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's probably Olive, but...
Yes, I think that Mother has that scribbled on that big sheet I have to... And then Aunt Mary.
She was married Will Eisler.
Mm-hmm. And did all these people so far live in Port Hope?
Yeah. Well, Aunt Mary lived about 8 miles out of Port Hope on the Kindy Road.
Yeah, all right. And Uncle George.
Married Ruby Kinsey.
Mm-hmm. And did they live near Grandma?
Yeah. Well, they lived on a farm just outside of Port Hope for a long time. And then they moved to Port Hope, and well, you know that side road going past Mother's place.
Yeah.
But then they lived on the other side of the road, right, their house faced the next block.
Okay, I thought I remembered that
Yeah.
they lived near there. And Uncle Jim, of course, I knew
Yeah.
real well. I remember Uncle Jim when he worked at Millithaler's store. Now, did he do something before that, or what do you remember
he did
about
that
him?
all the time that I ever knew him.
I always loved it because when we went grocery shopping, he'd slip us a piece of candy or something, you know, at the end of the. And of course, he married Pearl Hunter. I have this information somewhere. And then Aunt Jane Schlechter was married Roscoe.
Schlechter, yeah.
And their house, I was telling Larry, and it must be on 25. I always thought that was a little doll house.
Oh,
So tiny, wasn't it?
Well, it didn't really have that much room in it. But it's still there. Somebody else has bought it, and they've got it fixed up real nicely.
And that was the family home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
we were looking at their places in the cemetery, you know, their lot.
Oh, yes.
Dick Schlechter. Yeah.
That was the place that my grandmother used to make 13 pies at a time. Your mother remembered that in the tape. And the boys would sit down and eat a whole pie at a time. Raspberry pies. Oh, gee. I wasn't very big then, but I remember that.
But they lived in that little house that the grandparents, the Hubbard grandparents.
Yeah, and then Aunt Jane and Uncle Roscoe lived right with them.
Oh,
and,
I see.
Took care of them until they died.
I remember Uncle Roscoe from Grandma Hubbard's school Christmas shows, and he was Santa Claus.
Oh, yes. He was, I always say he was my favorite uncle.
He was a character, wasn't he? He was very
He was nice.
unusual and vivacious.
He always sang the church, too. My mother always played for him.
Oh, really? Well, he used to sing at that Christmas program. Something about, I'm a jolly old man. Or something.
Yes. I'm growing old and full of years, and time is passing by.
Yeah. But I don't remember Aunt Jane. Was he so vocal that maybe she was quiet? Or?
We never got along too well, awfully well together. They always lived together, but I mean, I don't know.
See them together a lot.
Yeah, and but he was an awfully nice person. I remember the year that my dad died, you know, and my mother was feeling kind of blue. He died in October, and she said, "Oh, we won't have a tree this year." She didn't think. But Jan, the day before Christmas, Uncle Roscoe had cut a little cedar tree, and he brought it on in, so we had our tree. I was only 12 years old. I was 11 when he died. He died on the 17th of October, and my birthday was the 29th.
Oh, we have a lot of October memories.
Yeah.
But Mother said he was quite sick most of the time that she remembered.
A lot of the time. He had inflammatory rheumatism. I imagine that's probably what arthritis is now, what we call arthritis.
And a heart problem.
Yeah, and
Bright's disease.
Everything, you know, it's just a culmination
all of his life.
It sounds like. He was 45 when he died. So.
But he had a meat market, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that was from his father?
He took over from his father. And he had it. There was a man that lived in Grindstone, and Mitchell Cook, his name was, and he was telling him about my dad one time. He said, "I never saw a man as strong as he was." He said he could lift up a part of about half a beef or something like that and sling it over his shoulder.
I remember Mother telling something about ice. Did he get lots of ice from the lake?
He had an ice house, and they cut ice in the lake in the wintertime and hauled it up, and then they had ice all summer. We didn't have refrigerators in those days, and that's the way he kept his meat cold, of course.
She used to say something about following the ice wagon and getting some chips off the ice.
Yeah, probably. I was younger, like that. And
Yeah, what relative, a mother said there, somebody used to come in a horse and buggy, a horse and,
Wagon. Uncle
yeah.
George, and took us all for
Uncle
a hayride,
George.
or pick us up for
Hubbard
church.
or Uncle-
Hubbard, yeah. Pick us up for Sunday school and church on Sunday mornings. He'd come down with his sleigh in the wintertime.
And then take you to the, well, now, was that a Methodist church at the
Presbyterian.
time, or Presbyterian? And it's the church that
This is the Methodist church now.
And for a while it was Methodist and Presbyterian, wasn't it?
Well, the Presbyterians just kind of died out there,
I
and so the Methodist conference gave the church to the Methodists, and then up north someplace they had they just reversed it, and they took the Methodist church and gave it to the Presbyterians, which didn't please the women of the Presbyterian church down there very at all, because they said they'd worked hard, putting on dinners and stuff like that to get carpeting and get the furniture and all for the store, or for the church.
You grew up a Presbyterian then?
Yeah.
Mother said a lot of your life was centered around the church.
Oh, yeah, well, my mother was really active, playing in the church and putting on the programs and everything.
Easy time. Well, on the Johnson side of the family, then, I have Fanny and Gardner, and they were from
Grandpa Johnson's first marriage.
Okay. Well, I hadn't known about Fanny until fairly recently.
Yeah. Well, she was Grandpa Johnson's daughter by his first marriage, and she married Grandma Johnson's brother.
No, wait a minute. She married...
I don't know whether
she married... Okay, I heard a story about...
Caleb Richardson, his name was.
All right. Judy and I were talking about that, and I didn't...
kind of a mixed up here, because Grandpa Johnson was 24, 25 years older than Grandma, and he was married by the time when she was born, I guess. But,
I see. I knew there was some confusion. Yeah, and then Uncle Gard. We knew Uncle Gard.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, Larry knew him quite well. Larry was at Alma College, and Uncle Gard was in the Masonic home in Aunt Redding.
Oh, yes.
And then when I went to Alma, we both visited them and kind of met partly that way, didn't we, Larry?
He and my mother were always good friends, and we always, she always said he always seemed so much more like a brother than a half-brother.
Yes, and then was grandmother's name Carolyn Mabel? And was it Carolyn? Oh, I-N-E, because several, I thought it was too, but several.
Caroline, they always called it. I think Grandpa Johnson probably had a sister, Caroline, so that she was...
Well, Natalie Hobson Slater named her youngest baby Caroline after Grandma. And she has a Julia. And she has and then Charlotte.
She was doing it there.
That was Aunt Lottie, though, wasn't it? Do you know what the F stood for?
I don't have any idea.
And then George...
Must be Francis. But
yeah, maybe I can find that in the court record. And Uncle George Byron.
Yeah.
And I remember Aunt Maud married Uncle Will. And Harriet.
Harriet Carey, C-A-R-E-Y. That was
that's the family name.
A family name, yeah.
You mean that was her middle name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was telling Larry, the thing I remember about Aunt Hallie was I was staying with Grandma, and Aunt Hallie brought over cream puffs, and I had never had a cream puff, and it was the most wonderful thing, and that was the main thing I remembered about her. And then Aunt Alice, Mother would talk about Aunt Alice a lot, because she was in the East?
In New York.
In New York.
And she married Ted Jenkins. And,
Ted, was that his real name, or?
I imagine probably it was Theodore, but we always called him Uncle Ted.
Yeah.
We never knew him very well. She used to come and visit a lot, but he didn't. I think he was there once or twice. But
Mother was really fond of Aunt Alice.
Oh, everybody loved her,
What was it about her that
I don't know. She was just an all-around nice person, that stuff. And we used to call her Aunt Bappy. I don't know where she ever got the name Bappy. But That's what,
Maybe she
I
was
think-
Bappy, whatever that means.
I think probably it was one of the sisters or something trying to say her name, Alice, and got Bappy out of it.
And Elwin was Unc.
Yeah.
Was that, I heard a story that when Mother was born, they went to school and told
Yeah.
Elwin that he was an uncle whether he wanted to be or
Yeah, well,
not.
that's what they told me he was an uncle, and he said, I've got to be an uncle whether I want to or not.
So they called him Unc.
Yeah.
I always was confused as a child because he was so much younger, and I always
Yeah.
thought of he and Eddie, Uncle Eddie as
Yeah, was he
brothers.
5 years older than your mother, I think, something like that.
But I never made that connection till later on in
Yeah.
life. Yeah. And then this would be Grandma Hubbard,
Mhm.
and then her father would be Edwin G., which
Right.
is the picture, and her mother would be Elizabeth
Mhm.
Richardson. Now, do you have any idea, and I know these are harder as they get older, but whether Edwin G. had any brothers and sisters? I think it's Edwin Gardner.
Yeah, it is. I don't know of, most of the information I've gotten from the family has been from what you people have.
Well, I didn't find any record of any
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, but Elizabeth Richardson,
Yeah,
you've
she
mentioned Caleb,
Yeah.
and it's Caleb H. Do you know what the H
I
kind of
don't
is? I don't know either. And Edmund would have been uncle to you. It would have been Uncle Edmund.
I don't remember that. I guess there was when they called Uncle Ed, but I don't start. He wasn't around here, I don't think. I never.
Okay.
That wouldn't have been.
Edmund Richardson, it would have had to have been.
That wouldn't have been Martin, would it?
Maybe the name is wrong.
Because Martin Richardson, we knew him real well. He lived not too far from us, and
I'll check that out.
he was always close to the family.
And then I had a Harriet Richardson.
Yeah, that. Well, there was an Aunt Lottie. You don't have that.
Well,
do
I have
you?
one missing
Oh, yeah.
from it. So.
There was an Aunt Lottie and an Aunt Martha.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
Martha here, and then I had a Harriet.
Yeah.
I don't always know where I got this information, so when I go to check it out,
I'm not sure about the Harriet.
about Harriet. I'll put a question mark there, and perhaps Lottie. And you said there was a Martin,
Yeah,
but you don't remember an Edmund.
yeah.
So I'll find out. And you remember it would have been your grandmother Johnson. You do remember.
Oh,
your
yeah.
What can you tell me about your grandparents, Johnson?
Well, we lived right beside them until they both died.
Now, did they live where Aunt Hallie lived?
Yeah.
You mean? Oh,
She stayed, or she got the house
I
after they
didn't
died.
realize that.
But, well, they were really nice. We always enjoyed them a lot. Grandpa Johnson was always said we were the best behaved children he'd ever seen, and my mother used to think that was pretty good, living right next beside them. But, I don't know. I've often thought about it. Grandma Johnson used to make these big sugar cookies and put a raisin in the middle, and she'd put a plate of them on the table, when she'd make them. And we'd go in there, but we wouldn't dare touch one of those cookies unless she invited us to. Now, our grandchildren come in and they head for the refrigerator or anything I've got, go to look for something. I'll say, well, I think I've got some Pop-Tarts here now. Go look at them, and the empty box will be there. And they'll be all. But we wouldn't dare do anything like that, and it's funny.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
haven't they?
I think probably it's better the way it is today, maybe, but we were just told not to do that, and so we just never thought about it.
Do you think you were raised with the children should be seen and not heard more?
Yeah, well, that was the way it was in those days.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like I said, anything that they see that's eatable, it just goes.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it like that. I think it's
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you do. You've got a lot of grandchildren.
19.
19. Oh. Well, I don't think we'll try to go back any further
Oh.
since it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Unless there are
Well,
some people you remember that were real special to you.
But, oh, I don't know. Grandma, I always thought an awful lot of them. All I can remember about Grandpa too much is going over and he had a rocking chair right by the window, and every once in a while I had to get up on his lap somewhere or other.
Oh.
But he always, made quite a fuss. So,
And that was nice.
Yeah.
They're living right next door.
Grandma Johnson was quite an Eastern Star member too, and she was elected. That's one of the points of the Star. And she always made such a beautiful electa. Did her work so beautifully. After I joined, I always thought that I'd like to take that chair, and be that officer. I never did. I haven't. I got stuck in the organist chair. That was my place for years when I belonged to.
I remember as a child going to Grandma's on a Sunday afternoon, and there were some pretty lively discussions, political, as I remember.
Uncle Gard and Grandpa used to get in.
Really used to get
Grandpa was a strong Democrat, and Uncle Gard was a strong Republican.
Well, I remember Uncle Maynard and Mother getting into some.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they used to have some good talks, but we used to
neither one would pull any punches.
Yeah. And I remember if we were really good, we could go over to Aunt Julia's and walk through her tuberous begonia garden.
She was a painter, and then her nerves gave out.
Oh, really?
And she couldn't paint anymore, and so she took it out in flowers, and she had this beautiful garden, and she'd get sent for all kinds of exotic seeds and plants. And then if they didn't, actually harmonize in the garden, she'd dig them up and give them to my mother. Mother said that she didn't care whether they harmonized or not. They all looked pretty in the garden. But
well, where was Aunt Julia from? She said, like a foreign.
Yeah, I don't know whether they were Austrian or German.
Very interesting little ladies.
They lived on a farm a couple of miles out of Port Hope. But he was the one, her father was the one that your mother told about him. With the stick over his shoulder and the little bandana tied up.
Yes.
Whatever he was carrying. They were real nice people.
Yes.
I just vaguely remember a lot of those people.
Yeah. Well, I have appreciated this, and as I progress, I'll send you more information.
Okay. It's interesting, I think. I wish our children were more interested in them.
Well, before I leave, too, I would like to get some addresses of some of the kids so I can keep in touch. Florence, I always knew the best.
Oh, yeah. She still lives in Midland on a farm.
Yeah, well, maybe I can get them a little more interested in reading up on. But thank you. And we'll stop with a video and go or something like that. And it helps me. There are times when I could use that, with their family and all their kids and.
When we were small, we never got along very well together because she left home when she finished with the 10th grade. They didn't have the 11th and 12th.
Oh.
And she was, like I said...
You better get the video going on this.
About 5.5 years older than I was. And so she'd come home and she thinks she could boss me around. And I figured that I knew my way around pretty well without her. Then after we were both older, we got to be real good friends. So that was nice. I know she got me on different trips or signed me up for different trips that we went on together, and I never would have gone on them.
Well, Judy and I were like that. When you're young, there's such an age difference. In 10 years, was really a lot for me.
Well, it's the same with our girls. There's 10 years apart, Florence and Melissa. They didn't, they never knew each other that well. That's all. Florence was away. But now that, they just think each other,
now you have more in common.
They get along beautifully. And
that's what
Florence
we find.
is, two girls, Karen and Dorothea, both live not too far from Lois. And they're more like sisters, the three of them.
Isn't that nice?
So
fun to get all the kids together, but difficult.
Yeah. We usually get together on Thanksgiving. Lois has been having everybody down there at her place in the last two Thanksgivings, and I've been trying to talk her out of it. This year, it's just a lot of work, and I said this meeting yesterday, was kind of a reunion. Let's let that be.
But not everybody was there.
Everybody'd kind of like to have the Thanksgiving
Oh,
again.
that's really nice. We're usually with Sue's family in Battle Creek on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And that's quite a group because she's got 5 now with Bill married, and we have 5 with Susie married.
Oh.
And our son David, our oldest son, is getting married next June.
Oh.
He's just engaged. We're delighted. I'll bet you have a picture of our one granddaughter. I don't.
I sure do.
We're enjoying our one granddaughter.
I said I was telling somebody a while ago, they said, how many great-grandchildren do you have? And I said, I didn't have any at that time. Gee, in the last 4 years, now, at the end of this year, I'll have 6.
Oh, so this is our one and only, and she's
she's a
1
darling.
year old there.
Oh.
Yeah, we really enjoy her a lot. Her name is Danielle,
Oh.
and Susie is pregnant with the second
Oh.
child. And very sick during pregnancy. It kept me rather busy.
Oh, that's what Judy said in the letter.
Yeah, well, but with this little one, I sometimes take care of her.
She's darling.
And, yeah, we enjoy her a lot, don't we, Larry?
She sure is very special.
Oh, yeah.
It's neat being a grandparent. There's a whole different experience.
You can give them
Yeah.
back.
Oh, it's nice being a grandparent when you can, well, Judy said there too, grandmas get to do a lot of fun things when she does that. Oh, I always enjoy the grandchildren, and most of them are getting pretty old now. I think Lois's older son is about 34 now, I guess.
Oh.
Mark is 11. He's the youngest one.
I didn't realize she had one that young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lois had really like the two families, the older ones. Well, the oldest boy just graduated from Michigan at Flint, at the branch of the University of Michigan. And then her daughter's in her third year, I think, at Michigan State.
Oh.
And then the next one is junior in high school. And then Mark is the youngest. He's 11.
Well, it would be fun to see them all someday.
And Betty, I'm always interested in traditions in families. When you were a little child, did you have any particular traditions that your family would enjoy doing every year around any particular season or Christmas?
I can't think of any thing. Our dad was always sickly, and my mother kept orders and all like that. And she didn't have too much time, lots of times. I've always thought that it'd be nice to start a tradition in the family, and carry it on too.
Well, it sounds like Lois has, with having everybody get together at Thanksgiving.
I always used to have them here, and then it just got too much, and then Maynard was sick, and so she just took over and has them all down there.
My mother said that so many times the church activities were their tradition, and then Grandma would be so tired out.
Yeah.
Many times.
Well, then she said at one time, she used to take music lessons, and that she'd just get started well into them, and then he'd be sick and couldn't stand to hear the piano. And I then was about the same way, or he was. I used to take music lessons, and but then I played by ear. I fooled my teacher for quite a long while after that. But she'd say it was starting, in the middle of it, and I couldn't see that. I had to start at the first. I took them for a while. I can read notes, but not very fast.
Well, I'm kind of curious because with grandfather dying so young, how did Grandma ever make it financially?
She was the township clerk and township treasurer for a while, and we had boarders there for long before he died. And I remember when he was dead. He was in the downstairs bedroom, and that's where we kept him until he was buried. And we had, I think it was 5 people that came in and had dinners and suppers, we called them then. And they kept on, even the day of the funeral, they were there.
Oh, you
They
mean they came to eat at your house? but they
and then
didn't
we
live
had
there.
people, oh yes, we had teachers that stayed
Where
there.
did they?
Well, in, my mother and I slept together, and then, in the front bedroom there, we had two teachers of two women that were good friends.
One of them was in Marquette, and Mother and I
Oh, Bernice
visited.
Lester,
Yes,
she
we
stayed
visited
with us
her.
for a while.
Yes.
And then in the downstairs bedroom, we had a Dorothy Jacobson from Ohio,
Oh.
and she stayed there too there. And then, but she took in boarders, for years like that. And when your mother was in college too,
Yes.
she went to the Wayne State.
Mhm.
It is now a teachers college.
Yeah.
And, I know Uncle Herman and Aunt Annie Joe said that they would, she could stay with them, and live with them, and then if my mother paid her tuition like that.
Now, how
So
were
that's
they
she got-
related?
They were cousins.
To
My mother's second cousin, I think, or maybe it was our second cousin, but they weren't our uncle and aunt at all, really.
Well,
But,
Mother loved them. So
oh,
much.
yeah.
And that's
They were,
really
well,
nice people.
they were real good friends with our parents before they were, or when they were married, because I know my dad told Annie Jewel that the first girl that we have, we're going to name her after you.
Yeah.
So
And there were
she-
3 Julias, if I recall. Now,
Yeah.
who was the third?
Julie Hill.
Yes,
It was one.
There's a picture of the 3 Jewels somewhere,
Oh.
and I can't.
Well, that'd be your mother
Mhm.
and Auntie Jewel and Julie Hill.
Yes.
But she always said that Julie Hill wasn't named after her because her name was Julie.
Oh,
And,
I see. Mother was the only Julie.
yeah.
Would your mother then take in just people for meals too?
Yeah. There was a man that, well, he had been in the Army, and then he came back and he was working in the bank at Port Hope, and so he lived with us. Well, he stayed with us for a while, and then after a while, he got married. I think he got his own house before he got married, Roland Albert, and he stayed with us and got his meals there for a long time.
Oh, are you talking about Roland Albert?
Yeah.
Oh, and he wasn't a relative?
Oh, no.
Oh, I
No, no.
thought he must have been a
But
relative.
he stayed with us for so long, and he always seemed more like around us. And Earl Doyle, another man in town, he had lost his wife, and so he used to come in and get his meals. And Lester Albertson did for years, too. And
Well, it must have made for interesting conversation at the table.
oh, yeah, it was nice. It was quite a lot of work, but,
Would you all have a meal together then?
yeah.
A big family meal?
Yeah.
My mother said that there were always extra people. I never had known that they were DT, but grandfather used to bring people home from the store, she said, too. And anybody that was wandering through that didn't have anywhere to go.
Probably. That would be when I was quite young, because
when
I
he
was
was
only
12.
12 when he died, and then he had been sick for quite a
Yeah,
long
she
while.
said that they never knew
Yeah.
who was going on. I was reading the book on Port Hope a couple of days ago, and I was reading the part about Blanche Etzler.
Oh,
And I really liked her as a teacher in 6th grade. And I remembered Mother talking somewhat about her being from the, Pixley Hotel,
yeah.
and that they sold liquor,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
you really weren't supposed to be associated
Yeah.
too much. You walked fast when you went by.
But Norma and Blanche, Norma was,
Bud.
yeah,
Yeah.
that she always used to get the most beautiful dolls at Christmas time, and I remember one time my mother got me a doll with a white leather body and a disc head. Is that what it is?
Yes,
The ones that break, or a
yes.
china head. And that doll, the head always got broken before the next Christmas. But gee, the doll disappeared about a month before Christmas, and then on Christmas she'd always, be right there again with a new head and beautiful new clothes. I used to find scraps of material in my mother's sewing machine drawers, and I couldn't understand how, pieces of a doll from Santa Claus could have pieces of material in the sewing machine
I
drawer.
remember when our David figured it out, because he said, that wrapping paper looks familiar.
kids very long.
Yeah, but lots of good memories, though. aren't there?
Oh, yeah, I should say so. Yeah, it's lonesome going through Port Hope. I'll go down sometimes and just drive around and see, you can remember different people that lived in different houses. Mrs. Carr used to live over there, and her husband had the blacksmith shop, and he always made cider in the fall. And so he'd call me up and tell me, bring your pail and come on up to the blacksmith shop and get the, and if I didn't go up and get it, he'd bring a pail of it over to me. She always made the best cookies, and I never had to run an errand over there for my mother. She seemed though she always had cookies handy.
Yeah. People really helped one another out a lot, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of neighboring, that if you
Well, she was a Presbyterian too, and I suppose it was ladies' aid business or something like that. But, and Mrs. Bisbee and a lot of people like that, you know, that
now there aren't very many people there.
I don't know anybody really. Norma Johnson married one of Ed Quinn Johnson's sons, Alvin, and he's dead, and she's still living there, but she's the only Johnson there, and there aren't any others at all. I see Lucy Colson once in a while.
The red-headed family.
Yeah.
How I remember this. Well, at one time, Port Hope was quite a bustling town, bigger than Harbor Beach, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it was ever as big as Harbor Beach or not, but there used to be a boat that came in and docked at the dock, and then in 1913 there was that big storm that took the dock away, and but our kids laughed at me when I, say about being from Port Hope and what a nice place that was, and it's such a dead place. And I said, my goodness, that there was something going on every night. It seemed as though it was nice to sit.
What was it mainly? Like a square dance or something?
Well, we used to have dances, Perizzo, do you remember him?
No.
Can't think what his first name was, but this old man was, or the head of it, was quite an old man and quite a drunkard, and he had his own family, and they were in the orchestra. Each one was the drummer and the horn player and the piano player, and I don't know what else. But they played the nicest music, and everybody just loved them. I used to drag my poor mother down there, clear down to the pavilion down by the shore of the lake, and we'd have to walk down and then walk back about 11 o'clock at night. And but a lot of the people, that was a big event. He always said, this Mr. Perizzo, that the people in Port Hope were the worst dancers and had the best time of any place he ever went to.
Quite a reputation.
But he'd get drinking during the evening, and he'd get so drunk that he'd really fall asleep. But he'd keep on playing all this. And at the end of the piece, somebody'd have to shake him, to tell him to stop playing. They really could play. It was wonderful. He used to play in Detroit for Henry Ford. And it was over the radio. I remember it, Jane Eisler. And then some of our friends from the school used to walk up to Aunt Jane's and the nights that he would be playing.
Yeah.
We used to square dance and different dances up there to his music. Well, Aunt Jane went along with the rest of us.
Oh, that's neat. Well, we don't want to keep Aunt Betty. You had such a big day yesterday.
Oh, gee, David has a van, and it's a beautiful van. A little TV in it, and it's got everything in it, and it has, and we have plush seats.
Where is David now?
He lives down in the White House, just on the other side of the road going west, on this side of the road. And we live about a mile from each other, and then Jerry lives on the other place, and that's about a mile, well, a little over a mile on the road cutting across the fields and the environment.
Well, and then where does John live?
In Upper Sandusky, Ohio.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's lived there for 16, 17 years.
For some reason I had him up here too in my mind.
He's been there for a long time. He and the pictures in there are from Hawaii. Chen has been working at this same company for 20 years, so they must have moved there before, longer than 60. But they said that anybody that they just started it this year, that anybody that had been working there for 20 years, they give a trip to Hawaii.
Oh, that's
so
how
John and Molly got this trip to Hawaii.
Oh. Did you finish looking at that?
That's right.
Why don't you go ahead? And they have the 2 children. And then Natalie lives in Cadillac, and she has 2 children with the new husband, Brad Slater. And then her 2 children with the David Bernal are in Ohio, but they come up in the summer. She has the 4 children.
Well, Judy said that Kevin had just married a woman with
I don't know how, the 4 children, I couldn't quite figure out
she
all
said there are
that.
the 8 of them.
That would be 8, because Kevin has 3.
He did, and they had a baby of their own now.
I think Duncan or something. Yeah.
It'd be quite something, wouldn't it? Because I knew that Kevin had the 2 girls, but I didn't know that he had
Well, he had
3.
3 girls, And Judy said it was really very moving. The world is so different now. But after Kevin's wedding, Edette, Kevin's first wife, came to pick up her girls. And I didn't know Edette had remarried. And Edette came in and gave Kevin a great big hug and said, "I just hope you are really happy." And Kevin said to Edette, his first wife, "I hope we're half as happy as you and your husband are." And Judy said, "It just, what a world these days." It was so confusing, and I don't know how that family keeps everything straight.
What are Susan's children doing?
Well, Bill is in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he's an engineer.
And the doctor?
No, he's not. And Julie now is back in Chicago. She was in Detroit or New York for a while, and she teaches English as a second language. And Jennifer is in Battle Creek, and she's working for Kellogg Foundation in a program. You might help me, Larry, where they get special speakers.
Community enrichment program where they bring in special speakers for the community.
And Jennifer schedules them and entertains them and takes them around. And then Allison must be a senior at Western, don't you think, Larry? And I can't remember what, I think she's a business, she's quite a business person anyway.
They're really grown up, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, our kids all enjoy each other a lot when they get together. Sue's kids and our kids are so much more the same age than me.
Oh, this is beautiful. I haven't been there.
No, I haven't either. I was up at Prince Edward Island 5 years ago. But,
we want to get up there.
See, that's beautiful up in there.
No. Did you go on a tour?
Well, I went up, it was on a tour with 2 friends from Kindy, and we went with the Parrots, and that's a tour group from Deckerville, and it was wonderful.
Was it?
It was about 2 weeks.
Well, we'd love to get up there. Isn't that where Anne of Green Gables was?
Do you ever watch, or do you have Disney?
Well, we've had it. I think we're discontinuing it again, but we don't watch TV enough to. But the Anne of Green Gables series, is that?
Yeah, it's been on several times, but Avonlea, every Monday night, Avonlea is on, and they tell shorter stories by the same Lucy Maud Montgomery.
Yes, I keep forgetting to. I was thinking of you when we went through England in the James Harriet country.
Yes, I just love those.
Yes, that's a lovely. England is just beautiful. We got into part of Scotland. We would like to go back there. We both enjoyed it, didn't we, Larry? And we weren't sure that we would, but the English were so friendly. And you think of them as kind of aloof. distant, but their senses of humor, everybody kind of had this, if you listened closely at the end of their sentence, there was this kind of little joke or pun, you know,
Yeah.
at the end of the sentence. But we really enjoyed that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
I read all of James Harriet's books.
I remember
I
you liked
just,
that.
yeah, I just love them.
Oh, these are some,
Molly and John, when Christmas gave me a hard-covered book with the best of James Harriet.
oh,
And
nice.
I had read all the books before then, but
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it out for a while, but I really do enjoy the. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice picture, John.
Would you like some coffee? Could I make it some?
Well, we really should be on our way soon, Larry.
I didn't know what
do
he
you
knew.
think?
I think, not for me, thanks.
Yeah, I think maybe we better be on our way. We need
I've
to...
got some cider. Do you like sweet cider?
Oh, that
Mhm.
sounds really good. Yeah. Larry,